Well, the Ravens have gone past the trade deadline only but making one singular move. I want you guys to comment down below, those of you guys are watching after the fact, part of the hashtag replay gang. Hello, I'm your host Sutton Def. You're listening to Quiet Storm Sports. Comment down below whether or not you thought Eric DeCosta did enough before the trade deadline. This and so much more here on this episode of Quiet Storm Sports. Yes. Welcome back into yet another episode of Quiet Storm Sports on the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel. I'm your host Sutton Def here to break down some pieces of news here that we have about our Baltimore Ravens. Oh yeah, by the way, this is a Baltimore Ravens centric channel. If this is your first time joining us, again, I'm your host Sutton Def. We do this damn near daily here. So if you do like the sound of that, right, make sure you like this video. Also, please consider, and the chat's going crazy already right here, please consider subscribing to our channel as well. We'd appreciate that here at the Purple Rain Podcast. Of course, got to do it for who's here in the live chat. Already 150 people watching live right now. Shout out to you guys. Thank you guys so much for coming through. Let me see. We got some super chat donations already. Man, chat's moving. Chat is moving. This one came from JT401, kicking us off with a two-piece down here in the chat. Says, no serious move made. Surprised? No. Disappointed? Yes. Yeah, that's pretty much exactly how I'm feeling as well. JT, we're going to get all into it. Make sure you guys stay tuned into this episode. So like I said, guys, the trade deadline has come and gone as of about 8 minutes ago when I'm recording this video here. And as of so far, it looks like this Ravens team, honestly, based off of their actions around the trade deadline, I don't want to say that they're necessarily mailing it in, but I think they didn't see this season as worth it enough, right, to make one of those big splash moves. I want to get into a couple things. I want to get into the history of first and second round picks. And I'm kind of basing this conversation off of the Quinnen Williams trade, which I'll get into in a second as well. But I want to see the history of our first and second round picks and see if just to see, right, guys, if it would have made any sense to package up a first or a second and move them in order to get a big star player. Appreciate the super chat donation, JT. Appreciate that, making it rain here on the Purple Rain Podcast, Quiet Storm Sports. Let me see. Okay, caught up on the super chats. Don Royal's in the house. Alaskan Man is in the house. Zach, I see you. What's going on? Urban Closer, what's going on, Urban? ISO, what's good? Greg Carter, I see you in the chat. What's up, TY? What up, man? What up? KP1, JMI, appreciate the sub, Black Rob. Appreciate that sub. Who else we got in here? Monty, what's up, Monty? Kimberly, what's up, Kimberly? Quoney, you in the chat? I see you. KBZ, appreciate y'all for coming through. 8XEV, appreciate you for coming through. Let me see. Spiritual War, Chris M5, one of our members here at the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel. Shout out to our members. Always a big shout out to you guys. Let's give it a D-Wiz in the chat as well. Give another round of applause for our members here. Salute to you. Again, shout out to our members here at PRP. TY says, I hope we keep winning games. I could care less about a top pick. Yeah, let's get into that. What's up, Slicer? Showcase, what's up? Now listen, here's my thing. I don't want to mince any more words, guys. This is bullshit, right? I want to start there. That's my jumping off point. This is bullshit, and I'm directing that towards, and only towards, Ravens general manager Eric DeCosta. Here's why I say this. I want to get into the Draymond Jones thing. Me and Alex reacted to that situation happening live in real time yesterday. I've had about, a day to kind of process that and how I feel about it. Like it, love it, hate it. Newsflash, I like it. I don't love it, and I don't hate it. I just like it, period. A lot of Ravens fans thought that would not be the final move from this Ravens team before the trade deadline. But it ended up being the final move before the trade deadline, which I think that, if I had to put a grade on this trade deadline kind of fiasco thing, with the Ravens winning their last two games and trending towards being a much better football team with a much better defense and a much more efficient offense that's only missing a couple of pieces, one of which would have been an interior D lineman, i.e. a Quinnen Williams. If I had to put a grade on this trade deadline, it's a D- for me. It's a D- for me. Malpractice, says Easy G in the chat. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. It's a philosophy thing. That's really all it boils down to, guys. And, you know, the way that the Ravens run this franchise is like this. They are more invested in draft picks, which I like to compare to lottery tickets, right? Scratch-offs, things like that. You're banking on potential. That's your philosophy. We want to hoard and stockpile as many draft picks as we possibly can. Because as it stands right now, the Ravens still have 4 fifth-round picks. 4 fifth-round picks. You can't even name me 3 fifth-round picks since Eric DeCosta has been GM that have been impact players on this Ravens team. I doubt you can even name me 3 that are still on the team. Nonetheless, we stockpile 4 fifth-round picks. I'm going to get into the conditional picks with the Draymond Jones trade in a second here, guys. By the way, over 300 people watching live. Appreciate you guys for coming through. Make sure you like the video if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching on X, shout out to you. Salute to you. Make sure you give me a follow on X. I do these live streams pretty much every single day. So make sure you follow me so you can stay up to date with that. And again, this is the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel that you're listening to here. But again, it doesn't make any sense to me in the world that the philosophy for Eric DeCosta is that, hey, my job is to put the most talented NFL players on this roster. Well, Eric, if that is your job, if that is the case, for you to get the most talented NFL ready talent on your roster, what better place to look than the NFL? Right? And honestly, the fact that the Ravens feel like they need to hoard, right, and compile all these draft picks, not to trade them, but to actually use them, what that says to me is that you don't have the confidence that you say you do in your drafting ability. Because you shouldn't need 11 to 13 picks every damn season, right, in order to just hit on maybe 1 or 2 guys per draft. That's unacceptable. That's unacceptable. And it's negligent. If I'm Steve Bisciotti, Ravens owner, it's negligent on his behalf to allow that to happen year in and year out. Again, I like the Draymond Jones trade just as much as the next Ravens fan. But it couldn't have been it. It couldn't have been it. Right? It couldn't have been it. Jeremiah, what up? Coach, I see you in the chat. I'm going to chop it up with Coach later on his channel. Make sure you guys tune into that. We like our guys. Yeah, obviously. We love our guys. It feels like this team, man. And you see other teams around the league going all in. Look at the Cowboys, man. Look at the Cowboys. And I knew the problem. I knew the problem with trying to get a Quinnen Williams. I knew the problem with trying to get a Quinnen Williams was that the Dallas Cowboys also wanted him, and they were never going to be outbid by anybody. That was the issue. That was the issue. I mean, they had multiple first-round picks. They had second-round picks they were willing to part ways with. As you guys already know, the compensation for that Quinnen Williams trade, pretty hefty. Dallas gave up a first-round pick in the 2027 draft and a second-round pick in this year's upcoming draft. They spent a pretty penny for Quinnen Williams. But let me just say this. If Eric DeCosta didn't think that it was worth it to send a first, I'm hearing the word on the street was the Ravens offered up a second and a fourth. Right? A second and a fourth for Quinnen Williams. And the Dallas Cowboys ended up offering a first and a second, and that landed the trade. I think a first would have been worth it. Now, a first and a second, that is steep. I'm not going to lie. That is steep, and I won't be the irresponsible, emotional, over-emotional Ravens fan unrealistic Ravens fan that would act like a first and a second round pick for Quinnen Williams, right, would have been the smartest thing to do, right? I could see like a first and then maybe like a fifth or something like that, or a player, you package it like that. But a first and a second, maybe not that. But one of the two. I mean, I think at least the first should have been on the table if you're the Ravens. At least the first should have been on the table. You may be asking yourself, well, what's the history of Ravens first round picks under the tenure of Eric DeCosta as general manager? Well, let's take a look at that. I'm going to read off the list of first round picks that were chosen since 2018. So, of course, you have Hayden Hurst, no longer on the team. Lamar Jackson, of course, all-star, Ozzy's last choice. And then you have Marquise Brown, no longer on the team. Patrick Queen, another first-round pick, no longer on the team. Rashad Bateman, low-impact player on the team. As much as I love Bateman, he's a low-impact player who was drafted in the first round, right? Let's continue. Odafe Oweh, another first-round pick, no longer on the team. Let's keep going here. Kyle Hamilton was another first-round pick. That was a hit. Tyler Linderbaum was another first-round pick. We'll see how the Ravens feel about him in the offseason, right? Another first-round pick again. Another first-round pick, Zay Flowers, still panning out, right? I'm not the Ravens fan who says that, you know, I fully recognize Zay Flowers to be the Ravens wide receiver one. Don't get me wrong. But there is a reason why Zay Flowers is not in many people's, if any's, top 20 wide receivers in the league. There's not a whole lot of rosters that Zay Flowers could go to and be the bona fide wide receiver one. I think a lot of people know that and realize that you don't get quite enough game-breaking type of plays from Zay Flowers to really warrant that. I mean, he's very limited on touchdowns and things like that. If he was making game-breaking plays, like you guys remember the game against the Broncos last season, where he makes that big play, right? Breaks a tackle or two and runs around guys for the touchdown. We'll only get moments like that from Zay Flowers maybe twice a season. Not enough to really consider him being like, oh my God, that was a bona fide grand slam as a first round pick. So my point is, guys, and then of course you have Malachi Starks, Nate Wiggins as well, who was panning out. Malachi Starks, we'll see, you know. But my point, guys, is this. First round picks are not nearly as valuable as a lot of people are making it out to seem. Not nearly as valuable as the Ravens think it is. You know, somebody said they disagree with me about Zay. That's fine. But I can guarantee you can name 10 to 15 other receivers that are better than Zay Flowers right here, right now. And if that's the case, and Zay Flowers is in year 3, again, not a grand slam first round pick. It's just not. He may be wide receiver one here, but that's not a grand slam bona fide hit as a first rounder. So again, what I'm saying is you can package one of those first rounders. What do they always say the definition of insanity is? Which I'll have to look up one day because I don't know if it's exactly true the way that people always say it. But you guys know how the saying goes, right? You do the same things over and over again and expect a different result. That's what insanity is. The Ravens have been doing the same things over and over again in terms of the philosophy of their management, the general management to be specific, with Eric DeCosta. Stockpiling these draft picks when all draft picks are lottery tickets. They're lottery tickets. You know, we're not one of these poverty franchises, right, who survives off of scratch-offs, right, who's wishing on a prayer, hoping for the next draft to bring their savior to their team. The Ravens are not in that position. Their window is open now. It's win now time this season. That's why you got to go all in. That's why you have to go all in. Again, you're not in a poverty position, Ravens. I hope you're listening. You're not in a poverty position where you feel like you need to buy all these scratch-offs, aka compile and stockpile all these draft picks. That's all they are. They're just lottery tickets. Go for the proven commodities. Look at what the Eagles have done. Look what the Eagles do. They bring in proven talent that can elevate the roster that they already have. That's what they do, right? They don't leverage everything on the NFL draft. Man, it's crazy. Same old philosophy. Yeah, man, it's insane to me. It's insane. Don't forget to join the Rain Gang, guys. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're watching on YouTube. We'd appreciate that. Again, if you're part of the hashtag Replay Gang, let me know down below in the comment section whether or not you think that the Ravens did enough before the trade deadline. Did you think that Draymond Jones was a good trade for them? Did you think that, them saving those draft picks? I know a lot of people probably don't think this, but you think them saving those draft picks probably might end up being for the better? Who knows, right? But let me know down below in the comments section. 360 people watching live right now. Shout out to you guys. This is Quiet Storm Sports. Okay, guys, let's get into some of these details about the trade for Draymond Jones. I'm just gonna call him Dray Jones. I think that's probably his nickname. I think that's what he goes by. But Dray Jones. So the Ravens traded for Dray Jones, got him from the Tennessee Titans yesterday. And originally, the story was that it was going to be a conditional 5th-round pick from the Ravens that could turn into a 4th-round pick. And now we know what those conditions are. So 2 things have to happen in order for this to become a 4th-round pick that will be sent to the Titans for this trade. Number 1, the Ravens must make the playoffs. And Draymond Jones must have 2 sacks throughout the rest of the regular season. So I think that the easiest thing, right, is the 2 sacks. I mean, the Ravens still have 8 games left, something like that. 8 or 9 games left. He can easily get 2 sacks. I think that, the rotation with him and Mike Green, he's going to give Mike Green a lot of relief. Of course, you're going to get Carl Lawson in there as well, but he'll have plenty of opportunities. Plenty of pass rush opportunities with the pressure rate that he has coming in about 23.6%, higher than anybody on the Ravens team right now. He should be able to get those 2 sacks. The tough part is going to be actually making the playoffs, right? Because that looks like one of 2 things. You either have to win the division as the Ravens, which it got a little bit tougher with Pittsburgh beating the Indianapolis Colts this past weekend. And now, the Ravens have to beat the Steelers twice in order to win the division. So you can either do that, or you can get one of these wild card spots, which, again, look as competitive as ever this season. You know what I mean? You even have teams like the Jags. Right? In the AFC South, who are still trying to make moves. They went out and got Jacoby Myers today. They're still trying to salvage their season. But ahead of them, you've got the AFC West, who is just on a carousel, right? The Chiefs. You've got the Broncos. You've got the Chargers, the Chargers I do expect to fall off maybe just a little bit. They traded for Tevin Jenkins right before the trade deadline ended because they have offensive line trouble right now. Joe Alt is going to be out for a while. Of course, Slater's out for the season. I think Alt might be out for the season too. I'm not sure, but he's out for indefinitely, I want to say. So, but yeah, it's going to be competitive across the landscape of the AFC going into the playoffs. So it's going to be tough for this to turn in from a 5th round into a 4th round. Obviously, I'm hoping it turns into a 4th round pick because that would mean that the Ravens made the playoffs and Draymond Jones is actually doing pretty good, hopefully, right? But again, man, I mean, this trade here, I can't necessarily say I love it because, and Jeff Zrebiec tweeted this not too long ago, there's not going to be a whole lot of players that you can bring in at the trade deadline, right, who are going to swing the needle, swing the pendulum so hard that it's going to be obvious that was the catalyst. That was what kind of flipped the switch and turned things on for the Ravens and kind of made them into a championship team. That's not really what tends to happen. Now, if you're the Cowboys and you overpay like they tend to do for things, yeah, you can get kind of like those splash names. But the Cowboys they seem to be, again, a lot of sizzle, no steak, right? The Ravens have the steak, right? They have the nucleus. They have a franchise superstar quarterback. You have all the pieces that you could possibly need, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 pieces on defense. You have an offensive line who still needs a little bit of work, Still need some help there, not going to lie. I think that they'll stick with that for the rest of the season, that 5 that they already got there. But you had only just a few more things to fill, a few more holes to fill, Eric DeCosta. And you didn't sell out to do it. Maybe this has something to do with the Ravens starting 3-5 and it being a whole lot more risky to be giving up first and second round picks at 3-5 as opposed to how risky it would be at 5-3. Maybe that's the way that they're looking at it, which I would understand that as well. But again, it would just kind of also go to show that this Ravens team or this Ravens front office doesn't really have a whole lot of faith in the rest of this season and how that could possibly go. Over 340 people watching live. Appreciate y'all for coming through. Rev up those mock drafts. Guys. That's where we're at. We're going into this year's draft most likely with 4 fifth-round picks. Maybe even 5. Insane. TY says we could have been 5-3 or 4-4. Nothing would change. Maybe. I don't want to see Ojabo on the field. Fair. Let's do this, guys. Let's take a little look at what we're getting here with Draymond Jones. That's what I want to look at. I want to see what it is that the Ravens are getting with Draymond Jones here. So let's look at some film. Let's take a look at some film, guys. Why don't we? So, as a lot of you guys know already, Draymond Jones has 4 sacks in the last 4 games. And here you can see all 4 of those sacks here in this video. I really like the combination of rush techniques and power that he brings, right? He's almost like the perfect hybrid between a Mike Green and an Odafe Oweh. You know what I mean? Like, he's got the pass rush moves of a Mike Green to get there, but he's got the size of Odafe Oweh to like constantly be able to get there and really like bowl through guys. Like, look at this right here. I believe this is a stunt here. Look at that. He just bulldozed, just boulders, just like a bowling ball almost. After the stunt, look how he crashes into former Raven Bradley Bozeman at the center. Just bulls him right over and just collapses that pocket in an instant. That's what I think is largely missing from a guy like Mike Green's game. To be honest with you, it's just the size to be disruptive with 2 weapons almost, because as a pass rusher, one of your weapons is going to be your sheer strength and size and your physical brute force ability to get to the quarterback. Your other weapon is going to be your finesse. It looks like a guy like Draymond Jones is developing both of those tools. He's only 28. He's got good size, 6'3", 280, I want to say. And as you guys can see here, once he runs into whoever's his assignment is to block him, it's very, very hard to stay in front of him. Very, very hard to stay in front of him because he's got all that power. It's a power thing. Let me see. Let me see here. Coach says my film has the blur so you don't get the copyright. I'm normally good with this. Film, Coach. It normally doesn't give me any problems when I have this, because I think that this is like also kind of cropped as well. So I think we're good. We'll see. I'll get with you if I need that, though. I appreciate it, Coach. Mike Green just needs more weight. Yeah. Mike Green just needs more weight. I totally agree with that. He needs an NFL offseason, says Cameron. I totally agree with that. 1,000%. Shout out to you, Cameron. Cameron's normally part of the hashtag replay gang, but he's here today. Appreciate you for coming through. But yeah, he definitely needs to put on some weight in the offseason, because we see it. You see the cross chop, you see the spin move, you see the bull rush, you see all the tools that Mike Green has in the toolbox, right? Only problem is he don't have the size to get there consistently. He don't have the size to wear these tackles out in the same way that I feel like a guy like Draymond Jones can do, and also a guy like Carl Lawson can do as well. I think the tandem of those 2 vets, let me say this. Let me choose my words very carefully here. The tandem of those two veterans, Carl Lawson and Draymond Jones, coming in and being rotational pieces off the edge with Kyle Van Noy and Mike Green and David Ojabo, most likely, much to our chagrin. I think it's going to be an underrated edge rushing group. No, it's not the star power. But what I think the Ravens are missing was the combination of size and speed that they can throw at you. With Draymond Jones, you get size and speed. Carl Lawson, you're getting size. Mike Green, you're getting speed, rush techniques. Kyle Van Noy, you're getting a combination of both, veteran savvy. David Ojabo, you're not really getting shit. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't really know why David Ojabo continues to get snaps on this team. I don't know why he's continued to be given grace. He's probably one of the worst picks that we've had in the past couple of seasons, to be honest with you. Played better against Miami. Yeah, man, but in what, year 3 or year 4? I mean, he's averaging like what, 1 sack a year when he is playing. It's just not enough. But again, I think that this edge rushing group for the rest of the season could be a little bit more underrated than I think that people are giving it credit for. I truly do believe that. And don't forget, Kyle Hamilton is still down in that box. Do I think that that's the most sustainable game plan for Kyle Hamilton? No, I don't. But I think the combination of these edge guys and Kyle Hamilton being around the line of scrimmage and causing havoc himself, that's honestly probably going to free up some of these guys to play better. That's what I think. 86 Ghost says, Coach sent me. Appreciate that, Coach. Looks like we got a super chat donation. Or who was that? No. I think that was a sub. Appreciate the sub. Couldn't even see who that was. Appreciate the sub, though. But anyway, yeah, guys. So, and again, looking at this here, I think one of these pass rush moves was a spin move that I really, really liked from Draymond Jones as well. Because not only did he have the finesse to pull off the spin, this was another stunt here against the Patriots, but not only did he have the finesse to pull off the spin, again, he just kind of uses that size to continue to win while he's doing the spin move, right? When you see other guys, they'll spin, but like after the spin, they're still right in front of their guy, and their guy hasn't moved, right? That's kind of the difference that you see with a guy like Draymond Jones. He's having the best season of his career so far, 5 sacks total on the season. And I think he can continue that success here in Baltimore. I really do. Dr. Rush got some new toys. I don't understand what EDC is doing. This is Lamar's prime. This I understand. Yes, this I understand. My thing is this. If you value these picks so much, Eric DeCosta, then why don't you stop drafting best player available with your highest picks? At this point, all you need to focus on is plugging the holes that actually need to be filled, right? If you already have a premier safety in Kyle Hamilton, there's no need for you to reach for another safety in the first round of the draft last year. And look, I like how Malachi Starks played last game. He had a great interception. Loved it. However, that pick could have been spent on an offensive guard of the future. That pick could have been spent on an edge rusher or an interior D lineman of the future, right? Places of need that the Ravens had. We had no answer for replacing Michael Pierce other than bringing in a John Jenkins who is very inconsistent at best. So there's something with the philosophy, guys. There's something with the draft philosophy that just is very, very off to me. Very, very off to me. I don't like it at all, to be honest with you. It just feels like we're allowing Lamar Jackson's prime to be wasted right in front of our eyes because we won't go for the jugular, right? We won't step up and say, hey, look, F them picks. Take this first rounder and take the second rounder and give us your premier defensive tackle. New York, since they were willing to give him. Did you guys see everything that the New York Jets gave away today? The Jets gave up Quinnen Williams and Sauce Gardner. They gutted their team. Literally gave away their best players. They were vulnerable. And EDC didn't take advantage of that. He didn't take advantage. You have a first round pick. You have a second round pick. You got players that you could have offered up as well. How could you not make that happen? The one thing, immediate impact player would have been a Calais Campbell, right? He would have been an immediate impact guy. I don't get it. I truly don't get it. It's baffling to me. Let me bring up the full trade here for Quinnen Williams on screen so we can kind of look at this together as well, guys. Let me see. 86 Ghosts. Appreciate you, Ghosts, with the membership. Appreciate that. Newest member of the channel here, 86 Ghosts. Big shout out to you. Thank you for joining the Rain Gang. A lot of my film study videos, guys, I typically don't show these on regular episodes of Quiet Storm Sports, but a lot of those are going to be in the membership channel. Actually, as a matter of fact, the one from the Dolphins game are for members only. So shout out to all of our members here at PRP. We truly do appreciate you guys. Calais Campbell didn't move. Yeah. But the thing was with Calais Campbell, he wanted to stay in Arizona. His family's out there, right? And it would have just been too much for him to come back to Baltimore. So I think for personal reasons, Calais Campbell wanted to stay in Arizona. Now, like I said, let me go ahead and bring up these trade details so we can look through these together. For the biggest trade, I think, of the week is Quinnen Williams. They would probably say Sauce Gardner, but for me, it's Quinnen Williams, right? Because that's who the Ravens were really looking after. But as you guys can see here, let me go ahead and read it for our audio listeners. The full trade: the Cowboys received defensive tackle Quinnen Williams, and the Jets received a 2026 second-round pick and a 2027 first-round pick and defensive tackle Mozzie Smith. So, again, a steep price. However, I value a veteran, proven commodity at a position of need. I value that way higher than potentially drafting somebody in the first round with that first round pick we would have had to give up. I value Quinnen Williams and that production that's already proven in the NFL way higher than a lottery ticket, which is a first round draft pick. I mean, we see every year how much of a crapshoot the draft is, right? That's literally all it is. It's a crapshoot. Nobody knows truly who's going to hit. I mean, they've been doing these for decades now. You would think that everybody who goes in the top 32, at least, everybody who gets picked in the first round is a bona fide starter, but that's not how it goes. It's quite literally a gamble. So, I mean, I don't understand, banking on the casino, right? When you've already got plenty right here in front of you. All you need is what you need, right? It's not rebuild time. It's not rebuild time. I mean, you can say what you want about the Cowboys, right? But when they want to make something happen, they're going to make it happen. They just are. I think that the Cowboys are literally, and I know Dak Prescott has been playing very, very well this season, but the Cowboys are a quarterback and a running back away from being a dominant team in this league. I'll say that. Yeah, guys, crazy stuff. Wiley and Allegretti are right up the road. Yeah, the Commanders had him available for sure. Let me see. KBZ says Eagles GM is the shit. He don't care what it takes. He just gets it done, period. Yeah, that's what you got to do. That's the name of the game. right? Push your chips to the middle of the table. When it's time to win, you push your chips to the middle of the table. It's not that hard to me. It's not that hard to me. The Ravens will always get outbid by a team like the Cowboys, who, and let me just say this: I don't think that the Cowboys are doing anything this season with Quinnen Williams. I don't. I think that the Cowboys are 3-5-1, something like that. Similar record to the Ravens, so I can't really talk too much like it's a waste. Oh, you're going to a 3-5 team. Our Ravens are 3-5. However, if I had to pick a team between the Ravens and the Cowboys on who's going to finish the season in a better standing, I'm going to pick the Ravens. I am. I'm going with the Ravens. Quinnen Williams would have been much more impactful in Baltimore as opposed to Dallas. Just my thoughts. Stunt J says they have 0% urgency. Lamar got 1 foot out the door. It seems like the franchise is more loyal to John than Lamar. Oh, we knew that. We knew that over the offseason when Steve Bisciotti was sitting shoulder to shoulder with John Harbaugh in that interview that was done by the Ravens, and he's talking about how they want continuity with John. They want to keep John around through thick and thin, through heaven and hell. That's what they want to do. That's what they want to do. Yeah. So let me see. Let's just put it this way. If Lamar is not playing, we're the worst team in the NFL. What the hell? I share all you guys' sentiments. I do. Uh-oh. We got a super chat donation in the house. Somebody's making it rain here. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate it. Who is that? Wandering Raven TV. What's going on, Wandering Raven? Dropping the 20 ball in the chat. Appreciate you for coming through. Appreciate you for donating. Wandering Raven pulling up from the parking lot here with that yellow super chat down low in the comments. Says the Ravens are a poverty franchise who are coasting on the back of number 8. Yeah, nobody sees it yet. The league was kind of started. The national media low-key started to wake up to it when the Ravens were, started the season so horribly, and they still haven't crawled out of that hole just yet. But just a couple of weeks ago, people were starting to wake up and say, hey, well, why is this team falling off so hard, right? Why are they falling off so hard when Lamar Jackson isn't playing? We thought that this Ravens team, and the whole reason we didn't give Lamar Jackson MVP was because they were supposed to have a stacked roster, which, even without your starting all-star, all-world quarterback, you should still be able to look competent, but the Ravens didn't. So people were starting to wake up to the fact that, okay, maybe they are kind of coasting on 8. Steve Young was the first to call out the Ravens failing Lamar. Yeah, but the problem is Lamar Jackson's back now, and Lamar Jackson is making everybody look better. John Harbaugh, if his seat was at all warm a couple of weeks ago, now is right back to being as cool as a cucumber. Right? Zach Orr, kudos to him. His defense has only been giving up 13 points per game over their last 3, aka after Kyle Hamilton moved closer to the box. Kudos to him. But again, Lamar Jackson coming in and keeping that offense on the field. I expect the Ravens to win a whole lot more time of possession battles moving forward. Lamar's making everybody look good. He's making everybody look amazing. Right? So it's one of those things. It's one of those things where it feels like there is some malpractice going on right now, because if you really did see what you had right now, and maybe it's going to be one of those things where you don't know what you have until you don't have it anymore, until it's gone, right? Maybe Lamar Jackson does need to leave in order for this Ravens team, this franchise, to wake up and say, okay, we had a window. Let's do an after action report on Lamar Jackson's career. And this is hypothetically speaking if Lamar Jackson doesn't win a Super Bowl. Let's do an after action report on Lamar Jackson's career. Where did we go wrong? In coaching, in roster construction, overall franchise philosophy. Where did we go wrong that we could not muster up one championship with one of the best quarterbacks in NFL history. And I think when you open up that book, that after action report, you kind of have to go through things and you'll come to the conclusion that, like, hey, we didn't put the right pieces around Lamar Jackson to help him succeed when we needed to. Drafting a Malachi Starks in the first round, again, love Malachi Starks, love what he did last week against the Dolphins, love it. Love it, love it, love it. But drafting a Malachi Starks with your first round pick, when you had questions at guard, when you had questions on the front seven, the defensive line, right? Had questions at edge rusher, which you ended up getting Mike Green, sure, I get that. But it just speaks to too much of a love for the draft. What is the draft? Which is basically just a casino, right? You show up to the draft like you show up to a casino, hoping to hit big, not knowing, hoping to hit big. You know you're going to hit big if you go out, put your money where your mouth is. By money, I mean draft picks. And you go out and you get a Quinnen Williams. You go out and you get a Dexter Lawrence. You go out and you force the Titans to give you Jeffrey Simmons. You make them a deal they cannot refuse. What is an offer they can't refuse? Like Don DaCosta. Yeah. Go Man says, dang, it's no fun. Put some positive about the Ravens. Keep that same energy when you start seeing us blow out teams. Listen, Go Man. I've seen this team rip off 12 straight victories before in the 2019 season with the likes of Miles Boykin, Seth Roberts, Willie Snead, Mark Ingram, I want to say, back then. Basically, that whole entire train was driven by Lamar Jackson. And that was over 5 years ago. And still, to this day, this Ravens team has not woken up and said, hey, look, we need to do everything in our power to keep Lamar Jackson upright and to keep Lamar Jackson with the football in his hands. And when I say keep Lamar Jackson with the football in his hands, I mean get yourself the important pieces you need on defense, like a premier edge rusher, whatever it may cost or look like some nasty guys up front on the defensive line, whatever that may look like, that can force turnovers, force fumbles, force errant throws to get Lamar Jackson the football back. The entire premise, the entire philosophy, rather, surrounding the Ravens should be, how can we help Lamar Jackson win a Super Bowl? Because Lamar Jackson has gotten you to the highest of highs, to the top of the mountain, right outside the Super Bowl. There's just a couple pieces. There's a couple places where he needs help. Not forcing any turnovers in the playoffs. That says a lot about the type of impact players that you have on your team. I'm sorry, but it does. And I'll start being more positive, Go Man, when the philosophy starts to swing in the other direction, in the direction of actual aggression, and realizing that the time to take a big swing is not when the window is closed. It's when the window is open. Right now, the Ravens window is open. You're not going to win championships with draft picks. You're not. You're just not. Appreciate the super chat donation, though, Wandering Raven. Appreciate that. You're the GOAT, man. Let me see. Jones is nasty. He just doesn't have any help. Surf City Ravens report says. I agree with that. The idea was to have Nnamdi Madubuike next to Travis Jones, but you lose Nnamdi Madubuike. And while the Ravens are 95% healthy right now, still having no Madubuike in the middle of that defense is humongous. That weighs so heavily. That weighs so heavily as an absence on that defensive line. More than, I would say, missing, a Calvin Noy on the edge, right? We miss Madubuike more than we would miss, I think, a Roquan Smith in the middle of the field. more than we would miss Marlon Humphrey for a few games. What I'm saying, guys, is Nnamdi Madubuike was massively important, which is why it was massively important for the Ravens to address interior D linemen. Because for the rest of the season, I can guarantee you, John Jenkins is up and down. Brent Urban is over the hill. You got Travis Jones, that's a force on the inside for the Ravens right now. So what happens when they double him? And everybody else is glued to their guy one-on-one. In January, that's going to be a problem. That's going to be a big issue. Because what do teams want to do in January? It's cold outside, right? They want to run the football. They want to play good defense. That travels to January, that style of football. And if your trenches aren't right, in January, you're not doing anything. You're not going anywhere. No Super Bowl. No Super Bowl. Man. All those picks and gave up Jair Alexander for what? Says Randy J. Yeah, man. We gave up quite a bit. Quite a bit, to be honest with you. 335 people watching live right now. Appreciate you guys so much for coming through. Let me see what else is on the timeline right now. I haven't checked the Twitter in a little bit. Let me see. Cardinals are sticking with Jacoby Brissett as their starter, but they told me Kyler Murray could win a Super Bowl on the Ravens roster before Lamar Jackson. Sorry about my dog, guys. Sorry about my dog. I heard a noise outside. He's mad about this too. He's pissed. Let me see here. So, let me see. It wasn't Tevin Jenkins to the Chargers. It was Trevor Penning. I'm sorry, guys. I said Tevin Jenkins earlier. That was wrong. So Trevor Penning to the Chargers. Sauce Gardner to the Colts. And look at the Colts, man. Look at the Colts. I think that with the Colts, like, you guys know how their owner is a woman. I don't know whose idea it was to be so aggressive and say, hey, look, like, I know we just lost to the Steelers. We're 7-2 right now. Daniel Jones, we don't know if he's necessarily going to take us to the promised land, but we're going to push our chips to the middle of the table because you never know what could happen. Taking a big swing. Jonathan Taylor's playing his ass off. The offensive line is playing its ass off. The defense is great. They took a big swing and they got sauce. They upgraded their defense. Going all in. Look at them. What have they ever done? You talking about the Colts? They're all in. 2 first-round picks for Sauce, though, is kind of crazy, though. 2 first-round picks for Sauce Gardner. That is wild. I'm not going to lie to you. That might be too many chips to the middle of the table. I mean, I would have maybe 1 first and I don't know, like a 4th or a 5th, but 2 firsts? That's a little steep. But I like the intention, though. I like the intention behind it. The intentionality behind a move like that and saying, like, hey, look, like, it should go to show, like, literally, fuck them picks. All it is, I'm going to keep saying it, guys. It's a lottery ticket. You're hoping that whoever you pick up in the first round or second round of the next draft is going to be good, as opposed to just going out and getting somebody who's already good. Make it make sense. Let me see here. A.D. Mitchell also went to the Jets as well. This is another interesting one. Of course, Quinnen Williams went to Dallas. Mozzie Smith went to the Jets. Rashid Shaheed went to the Seattle Seahawks. Jacoby Myers to the Jacksonville Jaguars. As we know, Jalen Phillips to the Eagles yesterday. Joe Tryon-Shoyinka from the Browns, I want to say, to the Chicago Bears. Draymond Jones to Baltimore, as we know. Logan Wilson got traded this morning to the Dallas Cowboys. And, you know, again, man, when it comes to these Cowboys, they will never. I can only, like, think about it like this. there's a difference between the Cowboys and the Ravens. Yes. Do the Ravens have more sustained success than the Cowboys over the past 30 years? Absolutely. Not even a question, right? The Cowboys want to stay relevant. Jerry Jones has admitted this himself. I think even actually recently. They want to stay relevant. They want to make the big move. They want to stay in the news, right? After losing in the fashion that they lost last night to the Arizona Cardinals on Monday Night Football, to follow that up the next day at 3-5-1 as your record, right? In a division where you're definitely not winning the division. The Eagles are going to run away with that one. So you're kind of just playing for a wild card spot at the moment. And who are you going to take that away from? You say, you know what? We're going to push our chips to the middle of the table. We like what we have in Dak and CD and Pickens. You know what I mean? Let's go ahead and let's beef up our defensive line with Quinnen Williams, right? Let's go ahead and beef up our linebacking core with Logan Wilson. And look, guys, I know Logan Wilson got benched by the Bengals, but Logan Wilson did not want to be in Cincinnati, right? I think that has something to do with the bad play. Just saying, you know. So, again, man, F them picks. F them picks. F them picks. That's all I got to say. That's all I got to say, guys. That's literally it. Anything else I wanted to get to before I close down this episode of the show? Let me see. Yeah, 2 first rounds for Sauce is wild. Ravens released, they plan to release Sanusi Kane, 7th round pick from 2024. Going to bring up Keandre Jackson, who's been impressing on special teams, I believe it was. Let me see. Think about Draymond Jones, takes most of his snaps, left outside linebacker and right outside linebacker. As we knew, definitely going to need help on the outside. But it's rumored that the Ravens might move him inside, right? I want to see him on the edge, personally. I want to see him off the edge. If you need more help on the interior, I would understand, which they do, which is why I thought that they would make another move. But let's take a look before we get out of here at the Ravens draft picks currently as it stands right now today that they're taking into this upcoming year's draft. Right. They have a 1st round pick, 2nd round pick, 3rd round pick, 4th round pick, 4 5th round picks, a 6th round pick, and then 2 7th round picks. And as it stands right now, again, the Ravens will go into this offseason with 4 5th round picks. And if I had to remind you again, because I think I reminded you guys on the last episode of the Purple Rain podcast, but 5th round picks since 2019 go as followed. Dalen Mack, no longer on the team. Broderick Washington Jr., fringe starter, rotational piece, very low impact, right? Sean Wade, no longer on the team. Dalen Hayes, no longer on the team. Ben Mason, no longer on the team. Or I don't even think he's in the league anymore. Let me see, 5th round pick. Kyu Blue Kelly, no longer on the team. Rasheen Ali, low impact special teams guy. Carson Vincent hasn't shown us anything yet. But we got 4 of those selections in the upcoming draft. 4 of those selections. The Ravens are like that guy in your fantasy league that stashes a bunch of bum players, but then he'll try to come and trade you for one of your best players. He's like, oh, I want your, I don't know, give me Jonathan Taylor, and then I'll give you Breece Hall, Kareem Hunt, and Calvin Ridley. Right? That's who the Ravens are. That's who Eric DeCosta is. He's that guy. He's stashing bums, right? Stashing bums. And not to call all those guys I just named absolute bums, but you guys get my point. Nobody values these 5th round picks as much as the Ravens do, which makes those 5th round picks lose their value inherently. You guys see how that works? You guys see how that works? Because you're trying to use and package these 5th round picks and use them as capital. Like, hey, look, we've got these 5th round picks, a bunch of them if anybody wants them, right? But nobody wants them. So you just having a bunch of 5th round picks, which you don't have a good track record at picking in that round, it means nothing. It means nothing. EDC trying to save his job with late round hits. Time to move on from him and his boyfriend Harbs. Yeah, the philosophy just ain't philosophizing. I know that's not a word, guys, but you guys get what I'm saying. Oh, man. All right. But, guys, I'm going to go ahead and dip out of here. It's been almost an hour. I've been running on this stream. Again, I will be on Coach's channel a little bit later in about 2 hours. So make sure you stick out. Actually, I think it's about an hour. No, in about an hour, I'll be on Coach's channel. So make sure you tune in to Sip to Tally Film because I will be on there. Appreciate you guys for coming through. Again, make sure you guys like this video, subscribe to the channel. If you're listening to me on X right now and you enjoyed the program, appreciate that. Make sure you drop me a follow on X. I would appreciate that so much. And make sure you come over to YouTube, hit that subscribe button over there. Make sure you like the video, listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts as well. We appreciate you. Sip Italia says 1 hour. Yes, sir. I'll be there in 1 hour for the Ravens Roundup episode, the latest edition of the Ravens Roundup. Again, shout out to Coach for my new mug here. But yeah, it's been a good one, guys. With that being said, stay positive always, test negative always, and never, ever, ever forget, even on the rainiest of days, to call God out. This is Sutton Def from PRP. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.